Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Port Huron Northern High School as we get set for a start of a MAC Red Division game involving the host Port Huron Northern Huskies and the visiting crosstown rivals, the Port Huron High Big Reds. Mike Mullins here along with Charlie Sensi behind the camera as we get set to play ball. These teams have met once during the season, with Port Huron coming out, Port Huron High Big Reds coming up with a 10-3 victory. We'll set the starting lineups here for you in just a moment. For those that were around last year, we have a 1,000% difference in our game. Last year at this time, we had a wind about as strong as this, but it was coming out of the north, plus we had rain, and I think there might even been some snow along the way. We managed to get in one inning before we packed it up and went back to the studio. But I think we're going to get today's game in. The Weather Bureau, the weatherman has cooperated. Despite the fact that we do have a strong wind, we do have some warm temperatures, about the warmest temperatures we've had thus far this spring to play baseball. The host Northern Huskies are being introduced right now. Go into today's game with a 3-4 league record. They are 4-5 overall. The Port Huron High Big Reds, just to give you an idea how unusual this season has been, have played just 7 games, and they are all league games. They have not had a chance to play any non-league contests. They enter today's game with a 4-3 mark. As we mentioned, these teams have met once, the opening game for both ball clubs, and the Port Huron High Big Reds, playing host to Northern, defeated the Huskies by a final count of 10-3. Let's set the starting lineup for the host Northern Huskies. On the mound is Mike Sly. Batting in the number 2 position and playing second base will be Eric Smith. Playing at third base, one of the 2 Murphy brothers who man the left side of the infield. Todd Murphy is at third. Todd Murphy is at short. Brian Murphy is at third. It's Kirk Conley who is at first base. In left field, Jeff Land. In right field, Brian Weiss. Behind the plate, Don Duman. And in center field, Matt Gladshin. That's defensively how the Northern Huskies set up. And for the Port Huron High Big Reds, leading off will be second baseman Morris Hall. Running through the lineup and the batting lineup for the Port Huron High Big Reds, leading off second baseman Morris Hall. He'll be followed in the order by right fielder Jim Hewitt. In the number 3 position, one of the co-captains for the Big Reds, Aaron Carpenter, who plays center field. In the number 4 spot will be third baseman Matt Scheffler, followed by catcher Dave Seppo. The DH, Brian Dupuis, he'll be batting in place of pitcher Chris Ward. In the left field position and batting 7th is Eric Rathje. Playing first base and batting 8th will be Tony Blank for the Big Reds, and rounding out the lineup and playing second base for Port Huron High will be Andy Cole. He'll bat in the number 9 position. The umpires for today's game on the bases will be Joe Bennett, and behind the plate making the call on the balls and strikes will be Marcus Williams. Port Huron High Big Reds batting first because we are at Port Huron Northern High School. And as you take a look around, you can see that there is plenty of activity here today as we look out beyond the scoreboard in right field. We can see that the softball teams are playing, and that game also is going to be broadcast here on CPHS at a later date. And looking over at the track area also, there's activity. Plenty of activity today here at Port Huron Northern High School, and for a change, the Weather Bureau has cooperated. It's a little windy, but very pleasant. Game time, I guesstimate the temperature would be between 60 and 65 degrees. So Mike Sly is taking his warm-up tosses. Leading off for Port Huron High will be number 4, the third shortstop, Morris Hall.
Number 4, Morris Hall, the hitter. Hewitt on deck, Carpenter in the hole.
Morris doing a little groundwork in the batter's box. And we're just about set for the first pitch of the ball game. Sly winds up, and we're underway here at Port Huron Northern. First pitch is a strike. Just underway, Port Huron High and Port Huron Northern here at Port Huron Northern High School. Mike Sly on the mound. Behind the plate is Duman. The pitch from Sly. It's curve on the inside, catches the corner. And umpire Marcus Williams calls it a strike, so Morris Hall quickly in the hole with a 0-2 count. Jim Hewitt, the right fielder, on deck for Port Huron High. The pitch from Sly on the inside, gets away from Duman. 1 ball, 2 strikes. These two teams, in addition to being crosstown rivals, of course, both part of the MAC Red Division, following the dissolution of the Eastern Michigan League. 1-2 the count, and the pitch from Sly. Curve on the inside, down low, and once again gets away from Duman. And the count is even up now at 2. Morris Hall leading off for the Port Huron High Big Reds. That wind is blowing out to right field today. If something put one up in the wind, it could be going a long, long way. It might interfere with the softball game. Count is 2-2. Sly, pitch, struck him out.
The right fielder, number 14, Jim Hewitt, the hitter. Carpenter on deck, Scheffler in the hole.
So Morris Hall goes down swinging. 1 out, and stepping in now wearing number 14, the right fielder, Jim Hewitt. Jim, first time out when these two teams met, was the pitcher of record for Port Huron High and got the victory. 1 down. Sly very deliberate, looking in, gets his sign, pitches. Pitch on the inside and low, and all the way back to the backstop, and it's a ball. Hewitt gave a slight indication as to perhaps bunting. Set that infield for you for Northern. At first base, it's Kirk Conley. Second base is Eric Smith. We have the Murphy brothers on the right side, left side. Todd Murphy at short, Brian Murphy at third. It's Duman behind the plate. Sly on the mound. Duman looking over to get the sign from Coach Larry Klink. It's a strike. Count is all even at 1-1. We've got 1 out. First inning. Watch catcher Don Duman. He'll check over to Coach Larry Klink as he calls all the pitches. Sly up high, and Hewitt goes after it, fouls it off. So our count now is 1-2. Top of the first inning here at Port Huron Northern High School. The Huskies and Port Huron High Big Reds. There's 1 out as Morris Hall went down swinging on the offerings of Mike Sly. Duman looking over, flashes the sign now to Sly. Sly winds, delivers up high and inside. 2-2 the count. Aaron Carpenter on deck for the Big Reds. Aaron in center field today. We've got 1 down, count at 2-2. Sly delivers to Duman. High and outside, full count. Full count delivery now from Sly. To the right side. Picked up, thrown to first, and Hewitt is out. Second to first. Eric Smith to Kirk Conley. So there's 2 down now. As Aaron Carpenter comes up now for the Port Huron High Big Reds. On deck is third baseman Matt Scheffler. Two down as Sly delivers his first pitch to Carpenter. And it's strike. Looked like it caught the outside corner. 1 strike in Carpenter, 2 down. No score, top of the first inning here at Portier and Northern High School. Sly looks in, wheels, and delivers. Down in the dirt. So the count is all tied up now, 1-1. As we mentioned, the Big Reds won the first time around, defeating the Northern Huskies 10-3. Count on 1-1. Sly delivers outside, and again Duman has trouble controlling the ball. Count is 2-1. Sly has put a couple of them down into the dirt. But he does have one strikeout of the 2 outs thus far. 2-1 the count. There's 2 down. We're in the top of the first inning. Aaron Carpenter batting for the Big Reds. Pitch goes the other way. We've got our first hit of the ball game as it delivers a single to left field. The ball in quickly, and Aaron Carpenter has got himself a single.
Number 20, Matt Scheffler, the hitter. Seppo on deck.
Stepping in now for the Big Reds, third baseman Matt Scheffler. Matt wearing number 20. Checks now with Coach Dick Hilliker for the sign. There's 2 down. Aaron Carpenter continues his fine hitting for the Portier and High Big Reds. Man on, 2 out. Mike Sly, the pitcher for Portier and Northern. Checks his runner at first, delivers, and a nice hit by Scheffler. This one could go all the way to the fence. Carpenter could be waved in. He's got the sign to go, and they signal that the ball has gone under the fence out there. That being the case, it'll be a ground rule double. Scheffler will stop at second, and Carpenter will have to go back to third. And that's exactly what happens. So Scheffler, with a sharp hit over the shortstop's head, it carried all the way to the fence and went under the fence. So the Portier and High Big Reds, with 2 out, are threatening to score.
Nice hit.
And coming up to the plate now is the catcher for the Portier and High Big Reds, wearing number 17, Dave Seppo. So all this starting with 2 down. Aaron Carpenter delivered a sly pitch to left field. Matt Scheffler on the first pitch hit one sharply into the hole between left and center, and the Big Reds have got a couple men on. There are 2 out. Catcher Duman goes out to talk with Mike Sly. As we said, this all started with 2 out. Seppo looks down at Coach Hilliker, gets a sign, gets set now in the batter's box. Sly winds and delivers on the inside, hit the inside corner, strike 1. With 2 down, pitcher Sly going from the windup rather than the stretch with the runners on second and third. That's Carpenter on third, Scheffler on second. Pitch to Seppo, hit down to shortstop. Murphy digs it out, long throw across. He's out. And Mike Sly works out of a jam. 2 runners on for Portier and High School. We have played 1/2 inning of play. It's Portier and High, no runs on 2 hits, and Portier and Northern coming to bat. Well, Portier and High threatened in the top of the first inning with 2 out. They got a couple of men on, but Mike Sly able to get that ground out. So as we go to the bottom of the first inning now, there's no score with Portier and Northern coming to bat, and Mike Sly will lead it off for the Portier and Northern Huskies. Chris Ward is on the mound for the Big Reds. Behind the plate is Dave Seppo, and we'll set those other positions for you as we go along. Mike Sly will lead it off for Portier and Northern, followed by second baseman Eric Smith, and then shortstop Todd Murphy. First 3 batters in the lineup for Portier and Northern. Bottom of the first inning, no score. Chris Ward looks in. First pitch for him in the dirt and a ball. Pitcher facing pitcher right now, which does not happen too often in the days of DH. In fact, if you look at the Port Huron High lineup, you notice that Chris Ward is not batting. Pitch up high, ball 2. First batter for Port Huron Northern in the bottom of the first inning. Pitch right down the middle, and it's a strike. Count 2-1 on number 21, Mike Sly. Thank you for joining us on a windy Friday afternoon here at Port Huron Northern High School. But for those who were around last year, this is 1,000% better as umpire Marcus Williams calls a strike on the outside corner. Last year at this time we had the same wind, but it was coming out of the north, plus we had wind, rain, and snow to go along with it, and weren't able to complete. And curve on the inside, down to short. Hall, long throw, cross first. Bloink picks it up, controls, and runners out at first. We've got one out.
Second baseman, number 6, Gator Smith, the hitter. Todd Murphy on deck.
So one down for Port Huron Northern, and coming up now for the Huskies is the second baseman, Eric Smith. Eric wearing number 6. Northern in their pinstripe uniforms. Blue and gold, of course. Big Reds in the red and white, actually red and gray. First pitch from Ward is a strike, curve on the inside. One down, we're bottom of the first inning. We look back behind us, we do have a pretty good crowd on hand today. Encouraged by the warmer weather. Second pitch, swing and a miss. 2 strikes. So 2 pitches from Chris Ward to Eric Smith and 2 strikes. Eric's in the hole. Outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 1 down for Northern. Port Huron High threatened in the top of the first with 2 out. Aaron Carpenter with a single. Matt Shelfer with a ground rule double, but they couldn't score. Strike 3. Chris Ward picks up his first strikeout of the game.
Todd Murphy, the hitter.
So with 2 down, in steps number 12, the shortstop, Todd Murphy. 2 down for the Northern Huskies. Chris Ward shakes off one sign, nods to the affirmative on the second one. Foul ball. This one might make it to the track area, out by the track trailer. 1 strike on Todd Murphy. Big Reds enter the game with a record of 4-3. Huskies enter league record 3-4. Down to Hall. Long throw across the diamond. Bloink controls, and 3 up and 3 down. We have completed 1 full inning of play, and we have no score. We'll be back with the top of the second. Port Huron High coming to bat.
Tonight, Dolores had a few drinks, did some crack, and ended up another tragic story. Only she doesn't know it yet. Drugs make you forget. And if you forget how risky sex can be, you could catch the AIDS virus and not know it for months, even years. AIDS, another way drugs can kill.
Let's get her out of here.
Warm-up tosses, and we're ready to go here in the top of the second inning. No score between the host Huskies and the visiting Port Huron High Big Reds. Leading off for Port Huron High, the designated hitter, Brian Dupuis. Brian batting in place of pitcher Chris Ward. Behind the plate, that's Marcus Williams. On the bases, umpire is Joe Bennett. No score at the end of one. Mike Sly pitching for the Northern Huskies. Dewey gets a sign from Coach Larry Klink. Sly, pitch up high, ball one. Each pitcher with one strikeout in the first inning. Dupuis batting number 6 in the lineup for Coach Dick Hilliker's crew. Pitch down and away, ball 2. So the count is 2-0. Dupuis leading off here in the top of the second inning for the visiting Port Huron High Big Reds. Sly wheels and delivers. Ball gets away from catcher Duman, comes all the way back to the backstop. So the count now is 3-0. If you just joined us, Port Huron High did threaten in the top of the first with 2 out. They got 2 men on, but couldn't score. Dupuis leading off the top of the second now for the Big Reds. Count is 3-0. Pitch up high, ball 4. And Dupuis starts it off for the Big Reds with a walk. Moving in now is left fielder, number 9, Eric Rathje. Catcher Don Newman calls timeout to go out and talk with the pitcher Mike Sly. Left fielder Eric Rathje steps in. He's checked down. Let's see if Coach Hilliker decides to try to move Dupuis down to second with the sacrifice. Early in the contest, no score. Rathje squares. Is not off-redded, but gets a called strike anyway. So Mike Sly quickly ahead of Eric Rathje. 1 strike. Dupuis on first. He walked. We're in the top of the second inning. Eric Rathje, the number 7 hitter in the lineup for Port Huron High. Thinking that he might bunt first time around. Let's check it out again. Squares around, pitch up high and inside. He backs away from it. It's a ball. Count is 1-1. Rathje checking with Coach Hilliker down in the third base box. Dupuis on first. Count is 1-1. No outs. Top of the second inning. No score between the host Huskies and the visiting Big Reds. Mike Sly on the mound. Checks his runner to first. Coming home. Bunt. But it's foul. Comes all the way back to just in front of our location here. So the count now is 1-2 on Eric Rathje. If he tries to bunt now and it goes foul, he would be called in the strikeout. So let's see if the strategy changes now. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Rathje. Mike Sly on the mound. Checks his runner. Delivers. On the inside. Struck him out. Duman throws down to first, but Dupuis gets back. So we've got 1 out as Rathje strikes out. Second strikeout on the day for Mike Sly. Coming in now is first baseman Tony Bloink. Tony wearing number 22. So we got a runner on first. That's Dupuis. He walked. Rathje strikes out. We've got 1 out. Top of the first. No score. Tony Bloink. Sly is pitching for Northern. Token toss over to first. Weather-wise, it's a bit windy, but at least we have some pleasant temperatures for our ball game this afternoon. Sly's pitch. Strike one. So once again, Mike Sly quickly out in front of the hitter. One strike on first baseman Tony Blank. There's a man on first for Port Huron. That's Dupuis. He started off the inning with a walk. Sly working from the stretch. Wheels and delivers. Nice curve, but it's down in the dirt. Newman throws it away into right field. Dupuis takes off for second. Throw comes in. And Dupuis is easily into second base. So that'll be an error on the throw to Newman. Dupuis moves down to second. And once again, the Port Huron High Big Reds have a man in scoring position. Our count is 1-1. Number 8 hitter in the lineup, Tony Blank, at the plate for Port Huron High. Mike Sly pitching for the Northern Huskies. Looks in, gets his sign. Stretch, checks the runner, comes to the plate. And a foul ball down the first base line. And Tony Blank is again behind in the count, 1-2. 1-2, one out. Runner on second for Port Huron High. Top of the second inning, no score in the ball game. Mike Sly on the mound, Don Duman behind the plate for the Northern Huskies. Tony Blank at the plate for PH. On the inside, foul down the left field line. Blank stays alive. Count is 1-2. We mentioned Big Reds did threaten in the top of the first. Aaron Carpenter with a single. Matt Scheffler hit one up the alley between left and center, and the ball ended up going underneath the fence, which was a good break for Port Huron Northern, as if the ball was then ruled a ground rule double. Otherwise, Carpenter would have scored for Port Huron High. 1-2 the count. Foul tip. And Blank stays alive at the plate. One down. Runner on second for Port Huron High. Tony Blank, first baseman. On deck is the second baseman, Andy Cole. Brian Dupuis, he walked to open this inning for Port Huron, went down to second. This could drop in, and it does. And Dupuis holds up at third as Tony Blank delivers a single to left field. Brian Dupuis goes to third, and the Big Reds again threatened with men at first and third and one down. Stepping in now, second baseman Andy Cole. And let's see what strategy we have here now. Big Reds with men at first and third. There's no score in the contest, one down. Mike Sly on the mound for Port Huron Northern. Looks in to Duman, gets his sign, still working from the stretch with a man at first. Delivers, ball gets away, and Dupuis is going to come in to score. And Blank goes down to second. So the Big Reds pick up their first run of the game. And I would think that they would rule it a wild pitch, as it did go down in the dirt. So on the wild pitch, Blank goes down to second. Dupuis comes in, and the Big Reds go on top, 1-0. I think Sly tried to break off a curveball and got down too low. Got away from catcher Duman, came all the way to the backstop, and Dupuis scored for Port Huron. Another curve, strike. Count is 0-2. Cole did swing at that first pitch, by the way. So the count is 0-2. That's Tony Blank down at second for Port Huron High. They do have one run in on the wild pitch. Sly delivers, foul tip, and Cole stays alive. Morris Hall on deck for Port Huron High. There's one out. Count is 0-2. And the Big Reds have a run in. 1-0, top of the second inning. Mike Sly ahead of the hitter, 0-2. Checks the runner Blank. Delivers. Hit down to Murphy at short. So he has a little trouble controlling, and he can't. And Andy Cole beats it out. That's going to be an error on shortstop Todd Murphy. Blank stays at second. So the Big Reds, with one run in, still have 2 men on, and there's just 1 out. And coming up now for the Big Reds, shortstop Morris Hall. He struck out first time around in the first inning. Men on first and second. Hall looks down and gets his sign from Coach Dick Hilliker. It's Blank on second, Andy Cole on first. There's 1 out, 2 men on for the Big Reds. First pitch to Hall. Up high. Ball 1. Morris Hall, as we said, struck out first time up. On deck is the right fielder, Jim Hewitt. Want to know the count? Top of the second inning. We got time now at the plate. As Morris Hall steps out. Top of the second inning, Port Huron High leads 1-0. Run scoring on a wild pitch. 2 men on, first and second, or second and first if you will. Morris Hall at the plate for the Big Reds. A little looper down the right field line, and they call it a foul ball. Umpire Marcus Williams right there to make the call. That would have been a lot of trouble, as people would have been doing a lot of running. So the foul ball count goes to 1-1. We got 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 2 men on for the Big Reds. Well, Morris is kind of went to the inside out on the pitch. Went a little liner down the first base line. Going foul. 1-1 the count. 1 out. Top of the second inning. Big Reds with 1 run in. Sly delivers. This one's going to go out of play. Back towards the track. 1 ball, 2 strike, and once again, Mike Sly is ahead in the count. Leadoff hitter in the batting lineup for Port Huron High, Morris Hall. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, 2 men on. Blank at second, Andy Cole at first for Port Huron. The pitch down to short. Murphy goes to second, throws it away. Ball goes to right field. Blank comes in, gets away from the right fielder. We got another runner coming in for the Big Reds. Cole scores. And Hall ends up down at second base. So we're going to chalk up another error for Port Huron Northern. Morris Hall was safe on the error. He ends up down at second. Blank comes in to score on the throw into right field. Cole also ends up coming in. So the Big Reds have got 2 runners in. A man still in scoring position down at second. And coming up now is the right fielder Jim Hewitt. On deck is center fielder Aaron Carpenter. There's 1 down. Morris Hall on second for the Big Reds. None of the runs at this point would be earned. There's the first run scored on a wild pitch. The next 2 coming in on the error. Pitch curve is low and away. Ball 1. Morris Hall with good speed. I'm not sure if they would have got him at first on the double play, but would have had at least 1 out And in a situation like that, you would trade the run for the out, but as it goes right now, the Big Reds have got 2 more runs in and just 1 out. Pitch is up high. 2-0 the count to Jim Hewitt. And Morris Hall is down on second. Big Reds have scored 3 here in the top of the second. They lead 3-0. Still a runner at second is Morris Hall. Number 2 hitter in the lineup, Jim Hewitt, at the plate right now with a count of 2-0. Mike Sly on the mound for Northern, delivers, pitch on the inside. Hewitt goes for it, misses, strike 1, 2-1. Sly the victim of a couple of errors here in the top of the second inning, and also the wild pitch. But you take him any way you can get him, and the Big Reds lead 3-0. Hewitt asks for timeout and gets it. Steps back in. Count is 2-1. There's 1 out. We're in the top of the second inning. The flags are flying straight out here at Portier Northern High School. As we came to the ballpark, we heard reports of winds at 17 miles per hour, and it's all of that and then some right now. Pitch to Hewitt, curve, high and in, and the count goes to 3-1. See the wind now blowing some of the dust from the field. Mentioned at the outset, a lot of activity here at Portier Northern today. What with this varsity baseball game, softball going on at the far field, also being recorded for playback later on here on CPHS 6. There's also track action. 3-1 to count. Slide checks the runner at second, comes home, and pitch catches the outside corner. Marcus Williams calls his strike. So it's a full count, 3-2. Aaron Carpenter on deck for Portier and High. Mike Sly throwing a lot of pitches here in the second inning. Wheels and delivers. Hewitt strikes out. Now there's 2 down for Portier and High. Stepping into the lineup, or stepping into the batter's box, the center fielder Aaron Carpenter, first time up against Sly, singled sharply to left field. He's got a runner on second base. We've got 2 down. Portier and High with 3 runs in here in the top of the second. They did threaten in the first, did not score, but do have 3 here in the top of the second inning. Sly delivers. And umpire Williams checks with Joe Bennett. He says the Carpenter went around, so it's strike 1. 2 down. Morris Hall on second for Portier and High. Aaron Carpenter batting from the left side for the Big Reds. Mike Sly gets a sign from catcher Don Duman. Fly ball to center, and it's an out. And we have completed 1.5 innings of play for the Portier and High Big Reds. They score 3 runs, and at the end of 1.5, Portier and High leads Portier Northern by a score of 3-0. Northern coming to bat here in the bottom of the second.
4 errors.
On this year's prom night, your friends could either drive in one of these or in one of these. Remember, friends don't let friends drive drunk. A message from CPHS 6.
You see these commercials every day. You don't even think twice until it's you and them. I didn't think it would happen to me or her, but it did. And I'm never going to forget this, ever. And she's never going to remember.
To recap the top of of the second inning for Port Huron High School. They scored 3 runs on only 1 hit. It was Tony Bloink who got the base hit for Port Huron High. There were 4 errors for Port Huron Northern, and Port Huron High moves out in front 3-2 as Northern comes to bat here in the bottom of the second. Leading off will be the third baseman, Brian Murphy. Brian wearing number 16. Chris Ward pitching for Port Huron High. Chris set him down 1-3 in the bottom of the first for the Big Reds. First pitch is a ball outside. Gets away from catcher Dave Seppo. Ball 1. Northern trailing now in the contest by 3-0 in the bottom of the second inning. Pitch from Ward. Fouled out of play. The count is 1-1. They show 1 strike on the scoreboard, but the count is 1-1. Chris Ward pitching. Dave Seppo behind the plate for the Big Reds. Chris Ward delivers. Slow curve. High and outside. 2-1. Bottom of the second inning here at Port Huron Northern High School. First batter is Brian Murphy, and it could get in there. Trying to make a dive for it is Morris Hall, but he couldn't come up with it as Murphy puts it in between third and short. And Port Huron Northern has their first base runner of the day. Stepping to the plate now for Port Huron Northern is the first baseman, Kirk Conley. Another lefty stepping in for the Huskies. So Brian Murphy with the infield single. Just a very soft liner in between short and third. Hunter takes off, throw down to second, and he's in there. It's a stolen base for Brian Murphy. Connolly squared around as if to bunt. Murphy took off. 1 ball to count. So Murphy down in second now for Northern in scoring position. Chris Ward checks the runner, delivers, and it's a base hit to left field. Runner holds at third, and Kirk Conley with the single. And quickly, Port Huron Northern threatens. So 2 straight hits now for the Huskies, and they've got men at first and third trying to get back in the ballgame. They trail 3-0. Jeff Land, left fielder, wearing number 15, steps in now for the Northern Huskies, checking with Coach Larry Klink. Two straight base hits, and Northern has got men at first and third. Chris Ward delivers, pitch up high, ball 1. Jeff Land batting for Northern. Chris Ward checks the runners. Northern with runners at first and third. Pitch high and inside. Ball 2. And Chris Ward quickly getting into more trouble now. Northern trails in the contest. Bottom of the second inning. 3-0. The pitch. Foul ball. Goes to 2-1. Jeff Land at the plate. On deck, right fielder Brian Weiss. Two balls, 1 strike. Northern with runners at third and first. Ward delivers, curve on the inside. Catches the corner. And the count now is 2-2. Situation like this, Port Huron High would trade run for an out. But that's not to be as he singles sharply to left field. Runner comes in from third at 3 straight base hits, and Port Huron Northern is on the scoreboard. Let's chalk up an RBI for Jeff Land.
Hit in the hole.
Brian Murphy scores. Northern with men in first and second. And the score now 3-1. Again, checking the sign with Coach Larry Klink. Number 9, Brian Weiss. Or check that, number 11, Brian Weiss, the right fielder. Chris Ward, pitching for the Big Reds, delivers a strike. Still nobody out. Northern with 2 men on. They got men at second and first. It's Kirk Conley at second. Jeff Land down at first. Ward delivers. Foul ball. And the count goes to 0-2. Bottom of the second inning. Portier Northern with 3 straight singles. Brian Murphy, Kirk Conley, and Jeff Land. They've got 1 man in and still 2 men on at second and first. And Brian Weiss at the plate. Brian batting in the number 7 position for Coach Larry Klink. 2 strikes to count. Ward delivers. Foul ball. Back at some of the fans who were standing along the fence. Zero and 2 the count. 2 men on for the Northern Huskies. Chris Ward gets a signal from catcher Dave Seppo and delivers. Curve down low. Down in. And the count goes to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Brian Weiss. Chris Ward delivers. A called out. First out of the inning. And another strikeout for Chris Ward. That's his second on the day. First out in the bottom of the second now for Northern. They continue with men at second and first. And stepping up to the plate now is the catcher, Don Duman. Number 8 hitter for Portier Northern. 1 out, men at second and first. Portier and High scoring 3 in the top of the second inning. Oh, nice curve. And Duman offers at it, but doesn't come up with it. Strike 1, Chris Ward out in front. We started to say Portier and High came up with 3 runs in the top of the second inning on just 1 hit and 4 errors by the Northern Huskies. Huskies have gotten one of those runs back. It's 3-1. Another pitch down low. Seppo has trouble finding it. Finally does, but there's no advance for the runners. And Duman is quickly behind in the count, 0-2. Chris Ward has thrown a couple of curves down and in. Don Duman having a hard time coming up with them. Huskies still with 2 men on. The pitch. He fouls it on the bunt, and you can chalk it up as a strikeout. So the 3rd strikeout of the day for Chris Ward. So coming up now for Portier Northern, center fielder Matt Gladshen. The Huskies still with 2 men on. That's Kirk Conley down at second, Jeff Land at first, and Gladshen at the plate. Chris Ward delivers the strike. Huskies with 1 run in. We're in the bottom of the second inning. 3-1. Portier and High leading. Chris Ward. Pitch down and in. Ball 1. Count at 1-1. Portier Northern with 3 straight singles to start out this inning. 1 run in. But then the next 2 batters have struck out. And the pitch is called a strike by umpire Marcus Williams. 1 ball, 2 strikes. So Chris Ward trying to work out of a jam after the Huskies have scored 1 run. He's got 2 men on. Gladshen the batter. Pitch outside. Count goes to 2-2. So a bunch of 2s on the scoreboard now. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 men on. Bottom of the second. Ward delivers. In the dirt. Full count. And that'll be an advantage now to Portier Northern, as they'll be able to get the runners off and running with 2 down and the full count. Full count. Chris Ward steps off. Got to get Conley back a little closer to the bag. 2 down, full count on Matt Gladson. Pitch, all out of play. Goes back towards the track area. Our score, bottom of the second inning, full count. 2 men on for Northern. Matt Gladson up, 2 out. Chris Ward delivers. All out of play again. Gladson hangs in there for the Huskies. I'll remind you also that the softball game between the Big Reds and Northern is being tape recorded for playback. As Gladson draws the walk, bases are loaded now.
Number 21, Irishman Sly, the hitter, Gator on deck.
Conley goes to third, Land down to second, and Gladson with a walk goes to first. And here comes pitcher Mike Sly with a chance to help his own cause now. There's 2 out. Huskies have got the bases loaded. They trail in the contest 3-1, but a chance to get right back in it here. Mike Sly, leadoff hitter for Northern. Pitch inside from Chris Ward. Chris now working from the windup. Bases loaded for the Northern Huskies. They've got 1 run in. There's 2 down. First time up, Sly grounded out short to first. Foul ball back to the track area again. 1-1 the count. Chris Ward looks at the runner at third. Winds and delivers. Down to second. And Port Huron High is out of it. As Mike Sly grounds out second to first. We have completed 2 innings of play for Port Huron Northern. 1 run in on 3 hits. 2 innings of play. Port Huron High 3 and Port Huron Northern 1. We'll be back with the top of the 3rd inning after this.